everyone, it's Marcus here from the JVC training team, and in today's quick tip video, we're going to review all the adjustments that you have with the KW-Z1000W to help you fit this 10.1 inch floating panel in multitudes of different dashes. And at the very end, we'll review a little hack that you can do to help fit this plastic cover panel in a tight and difficult installation. So let's get into it. Now the first thing that we're going to talk about is how we can adjust the outward position of the screen. So I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to move the screen away from the dash to give you a little bit more clearance. The second we'll cover is the vertical position. That's where we can adjust the screen up and down to give us a little bit of clearance or set the screen in the proper position inside the vehicle, allowing you to access things like your AC controls or not block vents. And the third is a non-fixed adjustment. Now this adjustment can be done at any given time and requires no tools. So I'll show you an example of how it can be used inside a vehicle and what you can gain by adjusting it at any given moment. Moving the screen outward away from the dashboard so you can get a little bit more clearance is relatively easy. We need to remove these two plastic panels here. Then there's 4 screws that hold these brackets in place that help support the 10.1 inch screen. Now that we've removed our plastic covers and the 4 screws that hold the brackets in place, we can now move to removing the brackets. Now all we need to do is flip the receiver over and remove the 4 base screws on the bottom holding the slide in place. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to start at the back corner just to make it simple. Keep in mind that you do need to replace these screws to help secure the bracket that holds the screen in place. And at this point, with all the screws removed, we can slide the bracket forward to give us that extension to clear the dash. And start by replacing your screws. To complete the process, we need to replace these brackets with the extension brackets and the plastic covers. So let's flip the receiver over so we can install those brackets. Now both of the brackets are labeled left and right, and there's also a small foot that helps guide them in the proper position from top to bottom. So let's look at the bracket here. This is our left side bracket and our right side bracket. And then we put the screws back in place to help secure the bracket. Now that we have our screws in place and the brackets firmly mounted, we can put on our plastic covers to help conceal them in an installation where you can see them from the side. Alright, let's move to the vehicle so I can show you exactly how extending the screen outward helps give you better clearance in a deep installation on a dashboard or for something with more adjustment. So let's go take a look. So now that we have our receiver mounted in place and the screen adjustment moved outward away from the dash, we can now take the screen on the highest setting and check the fitment. As you see here, it fits pretty well. There's a couple issues though. One, I can't clearly see my gauges and easily access my AC control. So I'm going to move the screen in the highest position to see how it fits there. And this also seems to limit some of the movement. As you see, it hits the dash, and on the bottom, it also hits the dash. So let's see if we can get it a little bit better by moving the screen in an upward position. To do this, we need to unscrew these 4 screws on the side of the screen, and then we can adjust the movement in 4 different positions. So let's get to it. Now it's important when you're doing this step to make sure you keep the screen protected from any scratches by placing it on a clean microfiber cloth. But all we need to do to make these adjustments is simply unscrew these 2 screws here on both sides of the receiver screen. Now that we have our 4 screws removed, we can make the adjustments to the slide panel. So here we are at the very bottom position, and we have 4 different positions to choose from. So here we are at the very top. Now that gives you quite a bit of adjustment to make the screen fit perfectly on your dash. Now let's check out how the screen fits with the screen moved to the highest setting. Of one of the 4 options, I have it moved all the way to the bottom on the bracket, so it puts the screen up higher in the dash, giving us the most clearance. And now, as you can see, we can clearly see our gauges, and we have full range of movement from the touchscreen panel. Now we have the option to use the non-fixed tilting adjustment to its maximum abilities, so we can make on-the-fly adjustments if we have things like light glare coming in from the windows. Now at this point in the installation, we're happy with the way the screen is mounted, so we can move on to complete the process. We have to install the required black plastic protective panel, and you are required to install this plastic protective panel. It does two things. One, it secures the ribbon cable so you can communicate between the touch panel and the receiver itself, and it cleans up the installation. So it's a required part that you have to install. But it can be kind of tricky to get in place. Now with the screen position that we're in now, it's easy to access. Simply by tilting the screen forward, we can take our plastic protective panel, put it in place, and secure the screws. However, if you're someone like myself and you want the screen as close to the dash as you can possibly get it, this could become a challenge. That's where our little modification comes in, and I'll show you exactly how it's done and what it can do to help you ease that installation of that 10.1. To demonstrate this simple hack for the protective plastic cover, I've moved the screen down one position and back inside the dash to get it as close as possible. But this causes one issue. It greatly limits our movement on our screen. As you see here, we can only move it just a little bit forward and so far back. So it's going to be a little challenging to get this plastic piece in between those two components. As you see here, without the modification, it's just hard to push into place. Here's the modified panel compared to the original panel. As you see, we trimmed just a little bit of material from the bottom corner. This allows us to twist the plastic panel and easily slip it into place. Making a small modification where we trim the edge on the bottom here can help us get this in the right position much more easily. Just like that, it snapped right in place. And all we did was trim a little corner. And now the end result. With that slight modification to the plastic protective cover, we easily finish that installation so we can get on to enjoying the receiver. Thanks for watching.